Got it.
Hello, welcome back to my first 2 weeks back to school after Christmas break. Starting the vlog off from the weekend before school started because that weekend was quite fun. I got coffee with Miss Laura at this cutie little coffee place with Remy, and then that night we had a surprise birthday celebration for Miss Livia. We surprised her by all being at her favorite bar when her and her boyfriend showed up, and of course we had to spend the night celebrating at an Irish bar, which was actually so fun. Something about a dingy hole-in-the-wall bar will just do it for me every single time. Then the next morning I was helping Miss Mimi move into her apartment. She finally found an apartment in Paris, which was so monumental and just amazing. And now it's Monday and it's my first day back to school, except I only had one class, so this day was not very eventful. All the Christmas stuff is still up from the holidays, of course. Marshall and I basically take the same metro to work and school, so that's what we did. I had my 1-hour phonology class and then I headed home and took Miss Stubber and Remy on a walk. I had some leftover Asian food and then Remy and I snuggled and gave her some scratchies on the couch. She's actually grown so much since I've taken these videos. It's crazy to look back on. It's making me so sad. Anyway, since I didn't really have anything else going on that day, I went to the gym, which was always nice. That was my very chill first day back to school. Good morning. Happy back to school. Second semester. Today is Tuesday. Technically, first day back to school was yesterday, but I only had one class. I wasn't really at school that much, so I only vlogged a little bit. Do you mind? Do you have to do that right now? My goals this semester are to not procrastinate, which is my goal every semester. My second goal is to make friends because I'm halfway through my first year and I haven't made any friends yet, but I have a feeling that this semester I will. Fingers crossed. My last goal is to, well, I obviously want to get good grades, but I want to get really good grades. I would love to get, maybe this is a bit unrealistic, I feel like the French, with the French grading system is a bit different. It's out of 20, not out of 100, and it's not like A, B, C. And basically anything you get over 10 is passing, and a lot of people just pray they get a 10 and then they're happy. Most people in the US, if they get a passing grade is a 70. If you get a 70, it's like, oh God, like that's not great. You know, most people want a B at least. I think is like the minimum for most people who are like high achievers is a B is reasonable. I was always an A girl, and so whenever I started going to university here and all my friends were like, yeah, no, don't, I was like, I want to get like 15s and up, and they were like, oh, that's very ambitious of you. I was like, is it? It is. I think last semester was a bit more difficult because it was in Spanish, my third language, and my Spanish level I feel like is not nearly as high as it should be. Now my classes are in English, so I think I can actually do this. So we'll see. My classes also just seem super interesting this semester, which I think is obviously going to help with getting good grades, because if you're interested in what you're learning, you're just going to retain more. For example, I have a literature and economics class, which is so interesting to me. We're going to be reading books, everything from classics to like modern day stuff, and how economics plays a role in even literature, and how literature plays a role in economics, and blah, 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 and like social classes and all that. For example, we're going to be reading Pride and Prejudice, so I'm excited for that. That'll be an interesting class, I think. I'm also curious to know how many other Americans are in my classes, because I have heard them around school, like walking by. I've heard the Americans or Canadians or people who have an American accent, at least, walking around school. So I'm curious to see how many are in my major, because they have to exist. So far in my first class, I'm pretty sure I was the only anglophone English speaker, unless someone who didn't speak up is. I'm also just waiting for my professors to, when I start answering questions, for them to be like, American? and for me to say guilty. I don't know if that'll make me more popular or less popular with my camarades. What is the word in English? Not my colleagues, my classmates. Maybe more popular because then I can help them with homework. I don't know. Okay, I came home for lunch to also let Remy out because I have a huge gap from 1 to 4 on Tuesdays. But I forgot to do a little fit check this morning. This little top is so freaking cute. I'm obsessed with it. I just thrifted it for €3 and it's so darling. I love it. And then it just absolutely goes perfectly with these jeans that I have. And then these little brown sneakers that I got from Zara during Solds for like 25 bucks. And that's the fit. Now I gotta go back to school for my last class that lasts 2 hours, and it is economics and literature. It is now Wednesday, my 3rd day back to school, and here's a little fit check. A similar top to the one that I was wearing the day before that I also thrifted, and same with the skirt with my tights. And then my black boots. Then I was off to my first class of the day, geopolitics. And then I got lunch and then did not film the rest of my classes. But today was also Marshall's birthday. So came home, Marshall opened up his gifts, or should I say Remy opened up his gifts. And then if Marshall could eat one food for the rest of his life, it would be sushi. So of course I made reservations at this sushi place that was really good, honestly. I don't even love sushi and really enjoyed it. And they came out and sang happy birthday for him, which was so cute. Okay, I actually don't remember, but I believe I didn't record anything from Thursday, and I think this is the next week. So I went to my one class, and then afterwards I went and stopped at the bakery to get bread for lunch. Afterwards I went to the gym. I made it a habit of going to the gym on Mondays since I had so much time, which was nice. And then I came home and did some studying / homework. Now it's Tuesday and this is all I recorded. Hello, happy Wednesday. Let's do a quick fit check. This little sweater is from Celio. Did I put it on backwards? No. Celio. And then these are my brown orage jeans. Orage, I don't know how to say it. And then I've got my cowboy boots. Let's go to school. After class, I went to the library so that I could borrow Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe because I had to make a presentation on it for my literature and economics class. And then I was greeted at home with the most beautiful sunset. Hello, I have not sat down and talked about... Pause. I have not sat down and talked about school in these past couple weeks and really just like sat down and talked at all because it's just been go, go, go. Oh, she's so cute. But it is the end of my 2nd week back in school for the spring semester. So far, I love my professors. I love all my classes. And I already started to kind of make friends, which last semester I really did not do. So that has been nice because that has been something that has been not bothering me, but it's just hard to go to university and, you know, especially not in the country that you were raised in and see people who have like their groups of friends already. I miss having school friends. School friends are so much fun. So I'm slowly getting there. This boy in my class asked me if I was American or English. And I told him American, so then he obviously asked me questions about the US, like most people do. And he asked me where in the US I was from, and I said Texas, and he responded with yeehaw. Anyways, the next day, I had a different class with him, and he sat next to me, and he said, I talked about you, and I was like, what are you talking about? And he said that he went and gave a presentation at a high school or something about university, and someone I guess asked about international students if there was a lot or whatever, and he said, yeah, I know a girl who's from Texas. And I thought that was so sweet. Let's see, last week I finished The Secret History, which I have right here, and I kind of wanted to talk about because I finally got around to reading it. I actually read it Like, I started reading it about 2 years ago, and I could not get into it. I don't know why, because I really, like, ate it up this time around. I have a few things to say based off of comments that I've seen about the book. I try to, every time I finish reading or watching something, I feel like we always tend to immediately go to like the comments or look up to see what other people have to say about this specific thing before we form our own opinions. So I always try to form my own opinions, whether, not that they're right or wrong, but whether I understood something completely or not. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. I was not obsessed with it like so many people were. I did see one comment that kind of shocked me. That was like, when you're, I think this book is like 600 pages. There, in the comment said, when you're 400 pages in and you finally realize that killing your best friend, helping in the murder of a friend is not okay. Oh, this isn't a spoiler, by the way, because obviously it's like in the prologue of the book. But I don't know, was I the only one who throughout the whole book thought it was absolutely insane that they wanted to murder their friend for essentially being annoying? The whole time I was like, this is crazy. And I saw so many people that were like, yeah, I would have followed Henry and did whatever he said too. Like, I was reading this, I was just like Richard. That kind of scared me. The like sheep mentality that so many people have really was like crazy. Another thing that I didn't think about before, but that I saw, was that Richard was not the main character in the book, even though it was from his point of view. And I was like, that is so true. He was like a side character in his own story, which is, I loved that like connection that I saw afterwards, because it's so true. When you read it, he doesn't know. He's truly an unreliable narrator. He does not know a lot. There's so much that his friends don't tell him, and he kind of gets used in a lot of senses. And I was like, that's crazy. I didn't make that connection, but he truly is the side character in his own story, which I thought is a cool and different perspective. We don't always see that in books. Another thing that I thought was strange was that, what's his name? The professor, Julian. I was a bit surprised that Julian was not more involved in the book. Obviously that serves a purpose, but I was almost expecting more. You know, we really only got a few descriptions of him from Richard, and obviously he's an unreliable narrator. So I feel like we really didn't get to learn a lot about him, and he, I feel like, is the root for a lot of what happened in the story. Wish we could have gotten a little bit more about him. And the ending, I didn't expect, but I was also expecting something to go down. And the epilogue, I think I interpreted it correctly. I had to like reread the last page one last time. Like, I read the last page and then I flipped the page and I was like, that's it. I had to like read it twice over, because I was like, okay, interesting. I won't give any spoilers, but I thought it was a good book. I thought it was interesting. I liked the dark academia. I thought the characters were interesting. I low-key loved Francis, and okay, they're all fucked up in their own senses, okay? Well, let preface with that, obviously. All of them are deeply, deeply flawed, including Richard. But for some, I just really liked Francis, and I also really liked Francis and Richard's relationship. I liked how, I think that out of all of them, they were the closest, even though Richard didn't explicitly ever say that and like to say that he annoyed him all the time. But I thought it was sweet. I liked their relationship, And I think Francis was my favorite character, honestly. That's all. That's all from The Secret History. Then I just finished this past week, and this past weekend I just finished Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince. I never read it because I didn't go to school in France, and in France it is like required reading in like primary school. So I thought, why not read it? My mom never like read it to me or forced me to read it because she very much disliked Le Petit Prince when she was little. And so she always told me she just didn't like the story, so I just never had any desire to read it. But I finally read it. I thought it was sweet. I thought it was cute. I liked it. I think it's super short, 80 pages. I think everyone should read it, honestly. It was like honestly perfect for in times like now. I think it's good to read a short little uplifting book like that every once in a while, because it really, you tend to forget what is important in life, and like in those little fables and books like that, they really do open your eyes up again, and you get to sit and take a breath and go, yeah, that's right. That's what life is really about. It's not about all the stuff that I'm stressing and worrying about. So it's always nice to have a little book like that in between to take a break from things. Now, I was planning actually on reading, after Petit Prince, I was planning on reading Pride and Prejudice. And let me show you this copy that I got at a secondhand bookstore here in Paris. Look at how cute it is. I'm actually obsessed with it. I know it's not like any great art, but I just love this kind of like watercolor pencil art, and like the inside. I'm actually obsessed with this. I have to read this for school, technically. I was planning on reading Pride and Prejudice this year anyways. It was on my TBR. But it just so happens that I also got to pick out of a list of books for one of my classes, and Pride and Prejudice was on them. So I was like, why not kill two birds with one stone? So I was planning on reading this after Le Petit Prince because I'm trying to alternate French, English. But I have to do a presentation on something to do with Robinson Crusoe, and I was asking my professor about it, and he asked me if I read the book, and I said no, and he said you should read it, and I said before next week, and he said yeah. So it's not a huge book, it's like 300 pages, but still, I was like, bro. So I went to my school's library and I loaned Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, and I'm currently reading that right now, not Pride and Prejudice, unfortunately. But so far, I'm only like maybe 30 pages into Robinson Crusoe. It's not bad. The writing is crazy. It's just like one long sentence with like no periods. One long sentence. It's just like one long train of thought, which is interesting. Yeah, that's all I have to say about the books that I'm reading right now. I also just got a Goodreads. I actually downloaded Goodreads for the first time about 2 years ago, but then I never used it and I deleted it. But this year I decided I was going to track, it's January, I could track my books from the year. And so I did that. I downloaded Goodreads, so you guys should follow me on Goodreads because I love seeing what other people are reading. That's about it. That's my first 2 weeks back in school have been not too shabby. That's all. Thanks for watching.